fourth grade, and welcome! Today we are going to be studying the book Swimmy by Leo Lionni. And we are going to be studying this book to help us understand our standard of how to describe a character, setting, or an event in a story. More specifically, we're going to look at the thoughts, the feelings, and emotions the character and story has. So, here we go. And I'm really excited to share this story with you because I read this story when I was your age. Swimmy. I love the art in this book. It's really beautiful. A happy school of little fish lived in a corner of the sea somewhere. They were all red. Only one of them was black as a mussel shell. He swam faster than his brothers and sisters. His name was Swimmy. Maybe you can find Swimmy. One bad day, a tuna fish, swift, fierce, and very hungry, came darting through the waves. In one gulp, he swallowed all the little red fish. Only Swimmy escaped. He swam away into the deep, wet world. He was scared, lonely, and very sad. But the sea was full of wonderful creatures, and as he swam from marvel to marvel, Swimmy was happy again. He saw a Medusa made of rainbow jelly, a lobster who walked around like a water-moving machine, strange fish pulled by an invisible thread, a forest of seaweeds growing from sugar candy rocks, an eel whose tail was almost too far away to remember, and sea anemones who looked like pink palm trees swaying in the wind. Then, hidden in the dark shade of rocks and weeds, he saw a school of little fish, just like his own. "Let's go and swim and play and see things," he said happily. "We can't," said the little red fish. "The big fish will eat us all." "We can't just lie there," said Swimmy. "We must think of something." Swimmy thought and thought and thought. Then suddenly he said, "I have it! We are going to swim all together like the biggest fish in the sea." He taught them to swim close together, each in his own place. And when they had learned to swim like one giant fish, he said, "I'll be the eye." This is my favorite page. And so they swam in the cool morning water in the midday sun and chased the big fish away. All right. So we're going to look, how do we describe that character, setting, and event? Well, we've shared with you a document to help you break it down. Now I put mine in paper form, but yours is digital. So we look and we see, okay, first question is the title. What was the title? Now, you can pick any book you want. You can pick a chapter book you read. You can pick another picture book. I suggest picking a shorter book like Swimmy to do your book report on, but you can pick any book you want. So the title of my book was Swimmy, so I'm going to write Swimmy down. Now, when you do this, you're going to type it. The author was Leo Lionni. Now, this is the easiest part. If you've picked a book, you know how to do the first two steps. Next, what were the characters in the book? Well, the main character was Swimmy. Then, other characters that we had were the big bad fish. I'm going to write big bad fish. And the little red fish. Now, we come to the next question, and this is the part that we were looking at. We were looking at the character. How can we describe them? Now, I'm not just going to go back in my mind and be like, and think forever. No way, I'm going to use my book. So character traits tell us about a character. They're the things that make up a person or a character. Some things that help us know who they are. And when I look through my book, I come to that first page, and on the first page, it said that he swam faster than his other brothers and sisters. And now I have to decide, do I think that was an important detail? Did that detail help me understand more about swimming? And I would say, yeah, because he swam faster, that's why he lived longer. So I'm going to write fast swimmer. I think that's an important detail. Now, on that page, it didn't just say fast swimmer. It also said that he was black as a mussel shell. Is that an important detail? Is that an important character trait? I would say so, because he's a black fish. He's able to do so many things in the story. So I think that the character trait that Swimmy is black is pretty important. Let's see what other character traits there are. So if we see already how important the character trait was that he was fast because he swam away. Go to this one. We're going to think more about the thoughts, the feelings, and the emotions. Now this one said he swam away in the deep wet world. He was scared, lonely, and very sad. Now all of those are important character traits, but which one do you think is the most important? When I think about Swimmy and how he is throughout the story, he's not scared the whole story. He's not sad the whole story. Part of what keeps him going is the fact that he's lonely. He's trying to find new things to see and do. So I'm going to write down that he's lonely. I think that matters. Let's see what else we can find. And then we come to the pages where he's exploring the ocean. And we see that he's happy again. And how do I know he's happy? Because the book actually tells me he was happy. Now, some books won't tell you that a character's trait is that they're a happy character. Maybe you see them always laughing, or they say something like their eyes glittered, or they were jumping up and down. Now, these character traits tell you about one big character trait, that they're a happy person. So if it doesn't say it exactly, you might have to use your brain and think a little to figure out, wait a second, is this character happy? And we know Swimmy is a happy character. All right. Then I'm going to come to this one, where he said this line, let's go and swim and play and see things. And in the book, they have the word see all capitalized. So this tells me that he likes to see things. And I think that's an important part of his character. I mean, we just spent like 5 pages of the book watching him see things. So I think that Swimmy wants to explore. I think he wants to share that with others. Now, if it's just a one-time thing, it's not really a character trait. But if it's part of who the character is, if it tells you more about Swimmy, then it's a character trait. And Swimmy's exploring, we see that throughout the whole book. So he likes to explore. And I'm going to write that in big letters, because I think if I were going to say an important character trait of Swimmy, explore would be very important. All right. And so we're going to see, I think that there's one more character trait that's important to know. Now, he said we had to think of a solution. He was thinking and thinking and thinking. And what a solution was, do you know? All right, think for a second. What was Swimmy's idea. Swimmy's idea was that they swim together as a big fish. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's a pretty good idea. I think that's pretty clever. So, I'm going to use the word clever. And I like the word clever more than smart because clever shows that you can think of ideas that are different and exciting. All right, I think those are all the character traits I can think of for Swimmy. So let's move on to the setting. Now this one in my story should be pretty easy. The setting in my story was the sea. Now maybe your story had more locations. Maybe yours took place in a classroom and then they moved to the park and then they went to a castle. You're like, what do I do? You only have to write about one of the settings. So I'm going to write the sea. But if you want an extra challenge, you should write details about all of the settings. All right, the next thing is plot. Now the plot is the structure of the story. What happens? So if you were to say in one sentence, what happens? And I'm going to say the plot of the story is a little fish outsmarts big fish and finds a new family. So the plot is what's going to happen. It's what it does. Little fish outsmarts big fish and finds a new family. And in fish, the word for a fish family is a school, which I like because I like to think of us as a family at school. Little fish outsmarts big fish and finds new school. All right. One of the last things to do when you're studying a character, a setting, or an event in a story is to figure out what the problem was. What was the problem in this story? Now, in some stories, it's really easy. In other stories, it's a little bit more complicated, and there might be more than one problem. Now, our story, our problem is pretty simple. I'm going to say the problem is big fish eat little fish, and it's dangerous. So we're going to write big fish eat little fish. Now, there are lots of other problems I could have said. I could have said it's dangerous to go alone. I could have problem fits along really well with theme. So what the problem was, it could be dangerous, but what is the problem they're facing? The big fish eat little fish. And now this one is the fun part. What is the solution? I like the solution because I like finding out how to solve it. And maybe in your book, their solution doesn't lead to success. Like maybe their solution is to do something like climb up a ladder and they still fall. Now, just because they had a solution that didn't work doesn't mean it's not a solution. Now in our story, Swimmy's solution worked. His solution was to make the fish swim as a big fish. All right. And now, one of the last things when you're describing a character, setting, or an event in a story is making sure that you summarize. Now, I've been doing that for you the whole time. And in fact, if you go through the steps and you think, were the characters? Where were they? What did they do? When did it happen? How did it happen? You are breaking down and creating a summary for yourself. How awesome! Now remember, a summary is when you take a story and poof, you retell it in your own words. So, a good challenge for you would be summarizing the story of Swimmy. Now, I'm not going to summarize Swimmy for you today because that's going to be an assignment that you have to do in the Google Classroom. So you're going to go into the Google Classroom and you're going to see, summarize what happened in Swimmy. So, sorry, but you have to do that one on your own. And the last one, and I think the most important one when you're describing a character's thoughts, feelings, emotions, learning about them, is to recommend the book. Did you like this book? Why or why not? I would say yes. I recommend this book because it has a very clear problem and solution, and I like the pictures, and I like swimming. So you should have a few reasons when you describe whether you recommend it yes or no. Now, if you don't like the book you chose, you can still describe it. You can still tell us about characters. There are some books I've met where I've been like, I do not like that character. I don't like that story. But can I still tell you about it? Definitely. In fact, good readers and writers don't let not liking a story stop them from knowing what happens in it. All right, so that was our lesson today on the standard, learning how we can describe a character, a setting, or an event in a story. I look forward to seeing what stories you choose and how you work with this. Have a great day!